What's up, guys? It's your friendly neighborhood Diamond. Welcome back to another video. I changed my name back to DiamondTheft because that's who I used to be, that's who I am, and that's who we are. And yeah, let's get right into it. So today I'm actually going to read some of the internet, some of what you guys wrote on the internet of a very popular show. I know you've heard of it. It's called Bluey. It's about a blue dog and his family and his friends. Yeah, basically, yeah, it's about a blue dog. That's it. We don't need to explain anymore. It's about Bluey. I like Bluey. I watched it a few times. It's pretty cool. I think everyone likes Bluey. We all like Bluey. I tried the Bluey Go-Gurt the other day. It tastes really interesting. There was like some other flavors there. Blueberry maybe. Yeah, it was nice. I keep buying it. I can't stop buying it from Target and Costco. The comment of the day. First of all, I have to say thank you for you guys. Thank you for all the support. Oliver VD says, "Bro, you're finally back. Smiley face. Best YouTuber on God." Thank you. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Double comment of the day. This is the first time I do two comments of the day from Yahir Yellow 1. Did he ever finish that Silent Hill 3 playthrough? And then Dream Clouds replies, no, he never did, but he definitely should, right? And I'm like, I should really go back and finish Silent Hill 3. But also, now we have Silent Hill 2 remastered. I'm going to play it. I'm going to do the whole thing on this channel. Maybe I shouldn't make that promise, but I really want to. I would love to play it. If you guys want to see that, leave a comment down below. But yes, back to Bluey. Today we're going to be reading some of the internet's Bluey lost episodes. Maybe one of you guys wrote this. Let's read it. There's 3. Stranger Danger, a Bluey lost episode creepypasta. About a year ago, I discovered this amazing Australian animated television series called Bluey. There's a good chance you've heard about it. For those of you who haven't, I'll give you a quick synopsis. To put it into basic terms, the show follows the adventures of a 6-year-old blue heeler dog named Bluey, along with her family and friends. As a teenager, I wasn't sure if I would enjoy a show aimed at preschoolers, but I have to say I was pleasantly surprised. Bluey is a refreshing break from all the intense and serious TV shows out there, I agree. It's lighthearted, funny, and it was incredibly relatable too. However, a few months ago, I remember coming across a particular episode of the show, and I figured now would be a good time to get this incident off my chest. This episode that I'm about to tell you was an unreleased episode of Bluey that was never supposed to be aired. Cliche. They always say that. The creator of the show, Joe Brum, stated in an email that this episode would have been deemed unsuitable for children. Now you're probably wondering to yourself, if this episode was never shown to the public, then how did I manage to come across of it in the first place? Well, to be completely honest, the answer to that question is so crazy that you might not believe me. The package. It was a typical Friday afternoon, and I was in my room laying on my bed, watching some of my favorite Bluey videos on YouTube. This might be one of your favorite videos now. The show never failed to put me in a good mood, and I loved how relatable the characters were. Suddenly, there was a knock on my door. "Come in," I called out as the person on the other side of the door opened it and walked in. It was my dad. He was holding a small cardboard box with a confused look on his face. "Hey, Lucas, a package arrived for you," he said, holding out the package. I was rather confused. "That's weird. I don't remember ordering anything. Are you sure it's for me?" I asked. "Yeah, the package has your name on it," my dad replied. "Maybe it's a surprise from someone." "Just put it on my desk," I instructed my dad. "I'll open it later." My dad nodded silently and did what I had told him, before he walked out of my room and closed the door without saying anything. I then continued watching YouTube, trying my best to forget about the mysterious package. But every time I looked at it on my desk, I was getting more and more curious as to what could possibly be inside. Eventually, curiosity got the best of me. I cautiously got out of my bed. As I slowly approached the box, you'd probably think I'm just making a big deal out of this whole situation, but when a package arrives for you, despite the fact that you haven't recently ordered anything, I was acting just like how anyone else would act in my current situation. I slowly opened the box, only to be met with a bunch of packing peanuts. After digging around in the packing peanuts, I then felt something like a DVD case. Pulling out the source, it revealed to be a blank DVD case. So cliche. No words, no barcode. It was completely blank. Confused, I took off the plastic on the case and opened it, making the disc inside drop onto the floor. I looked down to see what had just fallen out and saw a blank disc with words written in red Sharpie. When I saw what the writing said, it piqued my interest. Bluey, unreleased episode. Now, I had watched every episode of Bluey multiple times, and I know them all by heart. But an unreleased episode? That was something I never thought I would get the chance to see. I was curious. Watching an episode of my favorite show that no one else has ever seen before would have been a rare opportunity. But I was also skeptical because the package containing an unreleased Bluey episode doesn't just appear out of thin air. Someone must have given it to me, you know? But who? After a lot of consideration, I eventually decided to put the disc to good use. As I slowly but surely inserted the disc into my computer, I heard the computer processing the disc as I minimized my Google Chrome browser and waited for my computer to fully process the contents of the disc. Eventually, a video file appeared on my screen. I clicked on it without second thought. The episode. Once I clicked play on the video, the Bluey intro began to play, and it looked normal. I couldn't contain my excitement as I was currently watching a Bluey episode that was never supposed to be aired. But then a question entered my mind. Why would this episode be unreleased in the first place? What was in the episode that was so bizarre that it was never allowed to be released to the public? I was soon about to have those questions answered, but not in the way I ever would have expected. After the intro ended, the episode officially started. It began with the usual exterior view of the healer's house that was in the beginning of most episodes. The episode then cut to the living room and it showed Bandit and Chili watching TV, but something was off about the scene. It seemed to go on for about a whole minute with no music or dialogue, with the only sounds coming from the TV. The scene then showed the outside of Healer's house, where Bluey and Bingo are running around and laughing, presumably playing a game of tag. I smiled at this because I always found their laughs to be cute. Aw, that's pretty nice, yeah. You're never gonna catch me, Bingo, Bluey taunted before she struck her tongue out at her sister. We'll see about that, Bingo replied with a mischievous smile. Oh, that's wholesome. As Bluey and Bingo continued to run around the front yard, the camera then zoomed out to reveal a white van pulling in front of the house. Uh-oh. I know where this is going. The van looked dented and had scratches all over it. Oh, yeah, I know where this is going. Bluey and Bingo looked over in confusion. It then showed a close-up of the van as the window rolled down, revealing the driver of the van, which looked to be a black-colored pug with white spots on his body. Around his eyes, the driver appeared to also have a small stubble. Hey, kids, would you like some sweeties? I have some delicious treats here, the stranger said in a voice that sounded like he had smoked a pack of cigarettes. No way. This is where the story's going? Wow, okay. I mean, it was called Stranger Danger, right? Okay. No, thank you. We're fine, Bluey replied in an uncomfortable tone. No, thank you. Yeah, Bingo added while nodding. Our mom and dad said not to talk to strangers, and sweeties are also bad for us. Smart dogs. The stranger persists, trying to convince them to come closer to the van. Are you sure? It's really good sweets in here. You don't want to miss out. Bluey and Bingo backed away slowly, trying to keep a safe distance from the van. Bluey spoke up bravely. No, thank you. We don't talk to strangers, she said firmly. The stranger then groaned to himself. Very well. But can you at least check the back of my van? I think there's a big dent back there. No way. Why would he? No, please. Bluey and Bingo hesitated for a moment, giving each other an unsure glance. Okay then, Bluey replied as her and Bingo consciously approached the back of the van. No, and examined it closely. They examined the van, and Bingo said, I don't see anything, to the stranger. But she received no response. Hello? There was a brief moment of silence as the music got more and more intense. All of a sudden, the doors to the back of the van burst open and the stranger was standing there, which scared me so much that I almost fell out of my chair. Bluey and Bingo both screamed as the stranger grabbed them and threw them into the back of the van. The scene then changed back to Bandit and Chili, who were still watching TV, when they suddenly hear Bingo and Bluey's screams from the outside. What was that? Bandit asked. It sounded like Bluey and Bingo, Chili replied. Something must be wrong. With that, Bandit and Chili quickly ran out of the living room, out in the front yard, just in time to see the stranger drive off in the van. But before it drove around the corner, they could faintly hear the voice of Bingo and shout out, "Mom, Dad, we're trapped! Help!" "Oh no!" Chili cried out on the verge of tears. "Our babies! Chili, go call the police. We'll get that dog, whatever, no matter what." Bandit ordered Chili, still in tears at what she saw. The episode then showed us the title card. The episode was called Stranger Danger. We get the title card now? That's crazy. With a knife around the text, above the text. There's a knife above the text. This is not good. Usually Bluey's voice would say what the episode is called, but it was dead silent, which freaked me out even more. I was more confused than freaked out. What is a knife doing in an episode of the show? My questions were interrupted then. After the title card, the episode showed a bird's-eye view of the van driving down the road. I then heard sad piano music playing as the scene continued. It then showed the van driving off the road into what looked like a secluded part of the forest. The forest was dark, and there was no light source. When the van came to a stop, it just froze on the van for like 30 seconds before it cut to the inside of the van where Bluey and Bingo were tied up and knocked out conscious, as they both had bruises on their heads. I then noticed that there was a baseball bat in the background. Oh no. He even made a picture. Bluey, no. Bingo, this is not good. This is not good. They got hit. That's not nice. This is a serious story. Alright. The van's doors then reopened, revealing the stranger's shadow on the van's interior walls, before the screen slowly faded to black for about 10 seconds. The scene faded back into the show. The scene faded back in to show a small cabin in the forest. I assumed that's where the stranger had taken Bluey and Bingo. I then heard the sound of crying as it faded to show the inside of the cabin. The scene showed Bluey and Bingo still tied up, crying as they both sat in the empty cabin. Oh no. I really meant it. There was no furniture anywhere inside the cabin. "Bluey, I'm scared. I want Mom and Dad," Bingo said tearfully. "Me too, Bingo," Bluey replied silently, just as sad as she was. All of a sudden, the door of the cabin creaked open to reveal the same stranger, as he had a crooked smile on his face. Bluey and Bingo turned to him with the looks of worry on their faces. But just when Bluey was about to speak, the stranger walked up to her, promptly slapped her in the face. "Keep your mouth shut," the stranger shouted, "or I'll shut them for you." No, this is not good. This is a gruesome story. But Bingo began before the stranger turned to her. "Don't you start," he shouted again. "There's no use screaming. No one can save you." "What are you going to do to us?" Bingo asked, worried. The stranger then pulled out a knife and said in a deep voice, "You'll find out soon enough." No, please. Bluey, Bingo, don't do this. Without another word, the stranger then proceeded to walk towards Bluey and Bingo, who were both screaming and frantically trying to untie themselves, but was unsuccessful. They constantly begged the stranger not to hurt them, but it was no use. The stranger showed no intentions of stopping. Suddenly, I heard the sound of the police sirens as I saw red and blue lights flash on the screen. Before the stranger could process what was happening, the door burst open, revealing a police officer. "Everyone freeze!" The police officer instructed. "Stay right where you are." Two more police officers then entered the cabin as they charged at the stranger, pinning him down and putting him in handcuffs. When the other police officer ran up towards Bluey and Bingo, "Are you little ones okay?" the police officer asked, kneeling down to them. "Yeah, we're okay," Bluey replied, still a bit shaken up from the events that almost traumatized them. "Thanks for saving us, mister," Bingo said gratefully as the police officer smiled. "It's all in a day's work," he said, and then proceeded to untie the two young healers. "Now let's get you back to your parents." The scene then showed the aftermath, with the stranger being escorted to one of the police cars that surrounded the cabin. Whilst in handcuffs, as Bluey and Bingo were both led out of the cabin by the police officer, they looked around for a while until they saw Bandit and Chili talking to another police officer with worried looks on their face. Chili's eyes were practically bloodshot from all the tears, super red. "Mom and Dad, Bluey," and Bingo called out, "Mom, Dad." Bluey and Bingo called out in unison as they raced back to their parents. "Oh, thank you. Thank goodness you girls are okay," Chili said, kneeling down and putting her hands on Bluey's shoulder. "I was worried sick about you." "I missed you, Mom and Dad," Bingo cried out as she hugged them both. "We miss you too, mate," Bandit replied, returning the hug. The scene then showed the Healer family hugging each other as onlookers who had gathered around the cabin to find out what was going on began cheering and clapping for Bingo and Bluey, being reunited with their parents. The last shot of the episode was the police car that had the stranger in it driving off into the distance. The camera then panned up to show the sunset for about 5 seconds before the credits finally came on, bringing this episode to a close. Although the episode had a happy ending, I couldn't help but feel uneasy. The storyline was dark and unsettling, and I found myself questioning why the creators of the show would choose to create such a storyline. I remember feeling relieved when the episode was over. I'm relieved too. This was insane. What am I reading? What am I doing? This is messed up. Bluey is a wholesome show. Let me just finish the epilogue and I'll give my opinion. I couldn't wait to watch a lighthearted episode to lift my spirits. Looking back on that day, I realized how powerful storytelling can be. Even a show that I loved and trusted could surprise me with an unexpected and upsetting plot. It made me realize that sometimes we need to be prepared for the unexpected, even in things we think we know well. But the questions still remain in my head. Who sent me that mysterious package in the first place? Wow, this story was tough. It was so well written. I feel like the Creepypasta online scene has gotten so much better. Maybe with AI, people are better with their grammar and how they write the stories. But while it was so well written, I feel like this story made me feel very uneasy. This might be the first time I can say this for real. This story actually made me feel kind of sick to my stomach. Bluey is such a wholesome show, and as I was reading this, I don't want to continue. This is such a real episode. One of the comments to the story from Sophia says, "I'd give this an 8 out of 10, honestly." Honestly, I would too. Probably 8.5 out of 10. This was solid. Another one is, come on, this is not that bad. Wow. Somebody made a cool thumbnail for this story. Stranger danger with the knife on the top. This one's tough. This one was a tough one. I don't know exactly who wrote it. I can't really see that there, but I'll put their name on the screen. And maybe you guys can look them up. Maybe they have other stories. On to the next one. So I had to take a second there to breathe and realize that I just read a pretty great, crazy creepypasta. And but let's get straight into this next one. Bluey, leave me alone! And exclamation point. Let me just start off by saying I've had a really hard time deciding on whether or not to tell this story, as I've been trying to forget about this for the longest time. But after talking to some of my close friends, they eventually convinced me to tell this story to the internet. To be honest, I can kind of see where they're coming from, as I knew that I had to talk about this someday, and today is that day. But before I get into it, I thought I would give you some context so you can get a better understanding. I've been a fan of an animated preschool show called Bluey for about as long as I can remember. I'm sure you're all familiar with this series, especially if you've been scrolling mindlessly through TikTok and brain rot. He didn't say brain rot, but I added that in there. But in case you have zero idea what I'm talking about, Bluey mainly focuses on an anthropomorphic blue heeler puppy named Bluey. She lives with her sister Bingo, her mom Chili, and her dad Bandit in the city of Brisbane, Australia. In most Bluey episodes, it features Bluey and her family as they all make pretend games with each other, all the while learning valuable life lessons. It even aired on CBBS and ABC Kids and Disney Junior. Now, with that out of the way, let's get this over with. I was walking home from school one day as I hummed the Bluey theme to myself. When I got home and opened the front door, I immediately, first of all, that's funny, he's singing the Bluey theme. Sorry. I immediately noticed that there was no one around. My mom and dad would usually be in the living room doing their own thing, but instead, the house seemed empty. I shrugged it off, assuming that my parents were out at the grocery store or something. As I made my way inside, a familiar theme tune caught my attention. I looked at the TV to see that the Bluey intro was playing. I smiled as I sat down on the couch, ready to watch my favorite show. But throughout the intro, I couldn't help but notice that the screen started glitching slightly. Since the TV was pretty old and was known for glitching at times, I thought nothing of it. When the intro ended, it then showed an exterior view of Healer's house as always. It then cut to a shot of Bingo, who was sleeping in her bed. After a few seconds, Bingo's eyes opened as she got out of bed, yawning and stretching in the process. "Morning, Bluey," she said, turning her head to look at something off screen, presumably at Bluey's bed. Bingo's pupils then grew smaller as if she was looking at something shocking. It then showed Bluey on her bed, but she looked a little, how do I say it, tired. Her eyes were bloodshot and had huge bags underneath them. It looked like she hadn't slept for at least a week. It cut back to Bluey, who looked deeply concerned. "Bluey?" Bingo said worriedly as she walked over towards Bluey. Are you okay?" Suddenly, Bluey's breathing soon became frantic as her whole body was now shaking. The camera slowly zoomed in on her as she slowly turned her head to face Bingo. "Leave me alone," she whispered. "What?" Bingo asked. The camera was now right in Bluey's face, almost covering the entire screen as her pupils gradually grew smaller. The episode then abruptly cut to the title screen of the episode. According to the white text, the episode was called "Leave Me Alone." But what was different about the title card was that the background was a red gradient instead of the usual blue. There was no item above the text. Bluey's voice then said, "This episode of Bluey is called..." The voice paused for a moment before Bluey suddenly screamed, "Leave me alone!" in a distorted voice, which actually ended up startling me. When he said the word alone, his voice glitched at the end, and the screen suddenly started glitching out also. I was at a loss for words. What the hell just happened? Did the episode just glitch? Was the TV being hijacked? Before I can question anymore, the episode showed a shot of Bandit and Chili, who were eating breakfast in the dining room, when Bingo then entered the scene, looking worried. "Mom, Dad," she called out. "What's wrong, Bingo?" Bandit asked. "There's something wrong with Bluey," Bingo explained, getting a confused look from Bandit and Chili. "What do you mean?" Chili asked. "Come with me, I'll show you," Bingo replied, before she ran off, followed by her parents. The episode cut to Bluey and Bingo's open bed door, as Bingo, Bandit, and Chili appeared in the doorway, peeing inside with white eyes. It then cut to Bluey's disheveled state, as Bandit and Chili both gasped as they raced inside. "Bluey, you look awful," Chili said as she knelt down beside Bluey's bed, Bandit doing the same thing. "You alright, mate?" Bandit asked nervously. That wasn't really. "You alright, mate?" "I'm fine. I'm fine," Bluey assured them in a tired voice, turning over. "Come on, Bluey, you're not fine," Chili said a little sternly. "I am fine, Mom," Bluey said, raising his voice. "Now leave me alone." "Bluey, please," Bingo begged. "I said leave me alone!" Bringing her paw down onto Bingo's face, knocking her down, much to her shock. "Bluey Christine Healer," Chili explained in surprise. "Just leave me alone!" Bluey yelled again. My eyes widened upon hearing this. I had never seen Bluey this angry before. What was going on with her? Was she having nightmares, causing her to lose sleep? Bluey's family fell into silence as they soon walked out of the room. The episode cut to an exterior view of Healer's house at night. It then showed a shot of Bingo sleeping in bed again. But this time, she looked distraught as tears streamed down her face. The camera panned over to show Bluey sleeping. Her fur seemed to be unkept. Suddenly, Bluey began turning back and forth, squimmering. The camera then zoomed in as it showed a dream sequence. In the dream sequence, Bluey found herself in the middle of what looked like a dark forest. As she looked around her surroundings, her pupils soon shrunk. "Oh no, not again," she whispered. Seems like I was right. She was suffering from nightmares. Bluey then began running through the forest, the camera following in the process. Sweat began going down her face as she began panting heavily. As she ran, the camera kept getting closer to Bluey's face as it almost covered the entire screen again. All of a sudden, she came to a halt upon seeing something off screen. The camera panned over to what Bluey was looking at, and what I saw would forever be burned into my memory. A dark, tall figure who looked like its entire body was made of sticks, was staring at Bluey silently. I noticed there was what looked like blood all over its body, which shocked me. Why would they show blood in a preschool show? By the way, there's an episode of The Lion Guard where blood is rarely shown in a short scene during a battle. That's another Disney Junior series. I don't know. Lion Guard? I don't know that show, but yeah, he just added that in there. Thank you, author. Blood in a preschool show is not normal, obviously. Why are you doing this to me? Bluey asks the figure. The figure was silent for a moment before answering in a dark, distorted voice. I love to watch you suffer. Oh no. This one's crazy. I didn't expect it to speak. In an attempt to escape, Bluey turned around and started running away, but the figure extended out one of its stick limbs. The sound of bones popping being heard as the figure then grabbed Bluey by the wrist, picking her up and putting her directly in front of his face. Oh no. You're not getting away that easily, the figure threatened as Bluey tried to escape from its grasp. The figure then opened its mouth, revealing its sharp teeth, which were also covered in blood. Bluey screamed as the figure drew her closer to its mouth before the screen suddenly cut to black. It then cut to Bluey, jolting up from her bed, screaming, "Waking up, Bingo! Bluey, what's wrong?" she asked frantically. It then showed a close-up of Bluey. Her pupils were still small as the camera slowly zoomed in on her. Soon enough, the credits came on as somber music started playing. As the credits played, I was stunned at what I had just watched. I didn't know what to think. Even though the episode was shorter than the normal episodes, I still couldn't help but feel a shiver go down my spine as the image of that dark figure just wouldn't leave my brain. I picked up the nearby remote and turned off the TV, trying to make sense of what just happened. I didn't know what to do. Should I report this to Ludo Studios? Or should I just go to sleep and hope that this was just a bad dream? Eventually, my decision was made. Dear Lucas, we regret to inform you that we don't, nor at this point ever, have any information regarding a Bluey episode under the title of Leave Me Alone. If you could provide us with more information, we will look into it. Best regards, Ludo Studios. He reached out to them. Okay. As soon as I finished reading that email, I started questioning my sanity. How did they not have any info on this episode? It had been at least a few days since I watched that disturbing Bluey episode, even though it felt like it was only yesterday. Now you can see why I wanted to forget this incident. The end. Wow, this wasn't that bad. The last one was really bad. Stranger Danger made me almost want to quit YouTube right then and there. And I might quit because, that one was just traumatizing. This one, Leave Me Alone, had that monster. It looked like Slenderman a little bit. It has a stick figure. He kind of drew it out there. It's kind of a picture online. I'm adding those photos. I'm not the one drawing those photos. That's the authors making the photos or somebody else adding them. Whoever wrote this, I'm going to put their name on the screen if I find it. If I don't, shout out to you. I'll put the link in the description. First comment says, cool pasta. I guess so. And then someone else says, I don't really like Bluey. Please don't come at me, Bluey fans. So it's quite interesting to see it in a more psychological manner rather than a more apologize for everything manager. I like Bluey. I really do like Bluey. I don't know how this guy doesn't. Bluey is a great thing. Someone else pointed out that Bluey is actually a girl. Yeah, at some point, the author was saying he for Bluey, and I was getting I had to pause and try to change it to she as I'm reading this so you guys can understand and not get confused. Bluey is a girl. At first, I also thought it was a boy, but Bluey is a girl, okay? Bluey is a girl, and so is Bingo. They're sisters. So, yeah, I would give the story a 4 out of 10. It's not that great, but link in the description. If anything, what do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. Yeah, let's just get into the next story, the last and final one for today, because I don't want to keep going. This is that first one is just I just want to go. I just want to get done with this video. This next one is called Bluey Lost Episode Basement. Before the story starts, I just want to let you know that this is my first attempt at making a lost episode creepypasta. So feel free to give me some criticism, I will, and tell me what I need to improve on. Without further ado, enjoy the story. Thank you. There's a good chance that you've heard of a certain Australian and BBC-made animated preschool show called Bluey. I might have to start skipping these intros. It's the same thing. Yes, we heard of Bluey before. So I won't waste your time giving you a synopsis or anything. Oh, thank you. That's really nice of you. Bluey is arguably the most loved kids show currently airing, and there's a good reason why. You said you weren't going to give us a synopsis. Despite being aimed towards kids, it's captured the attention of people beyond that age demographic, including teenagers and even adults. Hey, that's true. I like the show. I know other adults that like the show. We love the show. It's a great show. And that's why I think this video is going to do really well. Reading these scary stories online will probably be heard by older audience, like maybe adults or teenagers that are watching this video. Shout out to them. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We want to get to 100K this year. Thank you very much. What do I think of the show? I think it's just wonderful. No other word to describe it. Me too. It's wholesome, funny, relatable, and teaches kids valuable lessons. Most, if not all, kids shows like Dora the Exploradora, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and especially Peppa Pig always talk down to the viewers and shoves the morals down your throats like a sledgehammer. But with Bluey, the morals are more subtle. That's one of the main reasons why I adore the show, actually. Me being a self-proclaimed Bluey fan, me too. I like how he said that. I know every episode off by heart. I need to watch every episode. I watched a lot, but I have not watched them all, so that's pretty cool. Or at least I thought I did, until one fateful day, I watched a certain episode of the show. But if you're expecting this to be just another lighthearted, wholesome episode, well, you couldn't be any more wrong. I came across this particular episode when I was channel surfing on a nice Saturday afternoon. None of the current shows on piqued my interest, until my ears were soon met with an all too familiar theme tune, the theme of Bluey. I kind of forgot how the theme goes. I immediately sat up on the couch upon seeing the Healer family playing musical statues. A huge grin spread across my face as I went to the pantry, got a snack, and sat back down. Ready to watch my favorite shows by now, the intro had ended as the episode officially began. Let's go. That's the best. Always grabbing a snack and ready to watch a show? Let's go. That's the best afternoon right there. It started with an exterior view of the Healer's house, like in the beginning of most episodes. As a musical cue played as the camera slowly zoomed in, it then cut to the playroom, where Bluey and Bingo were sitting on the floor and coloring, similar to the beginning of the episode Daddy Robot. After about 5 seconds of this happening, Bandit then entered the room. He explained to the girls that a good friend of his was going out for the weekend, and they were supposed to look after the house while they were gone. Surprisingly, Bluey and Bingo seemed on board with that idea, probably because they could explore around the house or something like that. After that scene, the episode then showed the title card. The episode was called Basement, and the visual above the text was numerous piles of boxes. That's a basement, basically. After the title card, it showed the Healer's car pulling up to a house. I assumed this was the house of the bandit's friend. It looked kind of similar to Uncle Stripe's house, except the brown part of the house was a dark shade of blue, whilst the light green part was white. Since the show is known for reusing assets, I didn't think much of it. The episode then showed the Healer family entering the house. The furniture looked flashy and expensive, with fancy-looking couches, armchairs, and pots of plants. There were even a few pictures hanging on the wall. Bluey and Bingo were both in awe at the house's interior. It's a fancy house. It looks like pretty expensive too. And with a smile, they both asked their dad and mom if they could explore around the place. The parents agreed, with the condition that they don't touch anything. Don't touch anything. Makes sense. Things are probably very expensive in there. While they both obeyed them. As the next scene began, a music soundtrack from the Series 1 episode Hotel started playing as the scene showed Bluey and Bingo exploring the various rooms of the house, including the living room, the kitchen, and even the bathroom, having a blast together. "Wow, Bingo, this house is cool," Bluey said to Bingo. "I know, right?" Bingo replied with a smile. All of a sudden, a loud creaking sound played, making both Bluey and Bingo jump. What was that?" Bingo asked. "I don't know," Bluey replied. Bluey and Bingo both looked over and saw that the sound was coming from behind a nearby door. "It sounds like it's coming from behind that door," Bluey pointed out. Bluey and Bingo then both slowly walked over towards the door, as Bingo was the one to open it. They were both met with a pair of stairs going down. I assumed that this was supposed to be the basement of the house. It was dark, as the stairs were barely seen. Bluey and Bingo looked at each other with concerned looks on their face as they slowly made their way down the stairs, almost falling in the process. Once they got to the bottom, only their eyes were shown, which was a common trope in some cartoons, which made me laugh a little bit. It's true. In the dark rooms, they only show the eyes. After stumbling around in the dark, Bluey finally found a light switch as she turned it on. There was barely anything in the basement. It was like it hadn't been used for over 5 years. Oh, there's nothing here, Bluey said, confused. Then what was making that strange sound, Bingo asked. Maybe we should get Mom and Dad, Bluey thought, receiving a nod from Bingo. Suddenly, the basement door slammed shut, getting the attention of the two young healers. Bluey and Bingo both gave a small scream as they quickly ran up to the stairs, frantically trying to open the basement door, but for some reason, the door was locked. Bingo, what are we going to do? Bluey asked, worried. But before Bingo could reply, the same creaking sound played again as Bingo and Bluey slowly turned around, only to see nothing behind them, making them even more scared. Bluey and Bingo fell silent, listening closely for any other sounds. In fact, everything was quiet. There was no music or anything. All of a sudden, there was a loud bang, which actually scared me so much that I almost fell off my couch. There's always a loud noise in these creepypastas. You notice that? I'm not falling off of no chair. Come on now. Just hold on to your chair. My heart was racing as the episode continued. Bluey and Bingo then screamed as they started frantically banging on the door, seemingly trying to get the attention of Bandit and Chili from the outside, but no one seemed to come to their rescue. The episode then showed a strange, shadowy figure with glowing red eyes at the bottom of the basement stairs. Bluey and Bingo both screamed as they continued banging on the door, this time a lot more frantically and more loudly. The figure was still standing in place, not even bothering to approach them. Mom! Dad! Help us! Bluey and Bingo screamed. I don't know, that accent was kind of funny. I'm trying the accent, the Australian accent. I could have done a better job there. Bluey and Bingo screamed in unison. It then cut to Bandit and Chili, who were sitting and relaxing in the living room when they suddenly hear the screaming of Bluey and Bingo. Is that Bluey and Bingo? Bandit asked. I think so, Chili replied. They must be in trouble. Come on. It cut back to Bluey and Bingo in the basement, who were still banging on the door as the figure was still at the bottom of the stairs, staring at them. Finally, the door opened to reveal Bandit and Chili standing there, both with concerned faces. Bluey and Bingo, are you girls okay? Chili asked. Bluey and Bingo immediately ran into their parents' arms, started explaining their situation, still traumatized in what in the world just happened, and even said to them there is a monster in the basement as well. Monster? Bandit said, confused. What monster? Bluey and Bingo then looked back down at the bottom of the basement, only to find out that the figure was nowhere to be seen. The camera then zoomed in on Bluey and Bingo as they both had a confused and scared look on their faces. With that, the episode ended. As the credits came on, I realized that it was a lot shorter than most episodes. I was just in a state of pure confusion. What did I just watch? Where did the figure in the basement go? Was it all in Bluey and Bingo's imagination? I decided that I needed to get some answers as to what this episode was about. Later that day, I searched for this episode, and I found out that this episode was originally made for the first season, but it was soon scrapped due to it being way too frightening for a lighthearted and tame children's series like that in 2018. However, someone on the Bluey crew members had accidentally aired this episode, mistaking it for an ordinary episode. I wasn't sure if that was true or not, since I don't think anyone would make that kind of mistake. But there was no other logical explanation. Soon enough, news about this episode spread around the internet like wildfire, including angry parents complaining to Ludo Studios about how this episode scared their kids. Like the Teletubbies episode aired with a lion and a bear back in 1997, and that scared kids too. Ever since I watched that strange episode, I wanted to share my story to the internet, which is why I'm writing this. If there's one thing that you should take away from this, it's that you should always be prepared for the most unexpected moments. It's true. The end. I think this ended kind of the same way as the last story where the stranger danger. Yeah, you need to be prepared for what might end up happening every day. You know, you never know what you might find, where you go, new places and discovery. But that's just that's a cliche. You know, you always should be prepared. The unexpected happens every day. And like a comment here in this story said by Jazzy Waz 1, it says, I'm sorry, but one of my pet peeves in creepypastas. Why am I saying it with that? One of my pet peeves in creepypastas is when the scary thing goes viral on the internet, since it's immersion breaking when you can't find info on it. Other than that, the story is okay. And then someone else says, wow, for your first creepypasta, this is flat out amazing. The story is well written. It made the story more enjoyable to read for me. Amazing job on this story. Keep it up. Yeah, so, yeah, it breaks the immersion all of these stories say I have to put this out on the internet, and you know, if it's not a good story and if it's not the only one, then it's kind of it breaks the immersion, because it makes you not actually believe what happened, even though, you know, clearly it's a story. But some creepypastas do a great job at being like maybe this actually did happen, you know, and you look it up and you see more information on it. If you know it's not a popular creepypasta, you know, and you can't find any other information on it, that kind of just breaks the story. It breaks the impact that it has on the reader. And yeah, but I liked it. It was pretty good. I give this one 4 out of 10 as well. It's not that great. I said it's good, but it's not that great. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I gave good criticism there. I think what this guy pointed out was great. If you made it to this point, then I give you a thumbs up. And if you leave a comment down below, I'll respond and I'll say thank you very much. Maybe say Bluey lost episode, or just say anything in the comments. Say you made it to this far, and I'll reply to your comment. And yeah, if you guys want more of this, please subscribe. Let me know in the comment section what you want me to do next. And yeah, the Stranger Danger one, the first story, it was kind of crazy. It's made me, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. It made me feel very, very uncomfortable making these scary stories. I'm afraid if kids go online and watch this, you know, younger audience, this is just going to give them the wrong idea. Bluey is a wholesome show. Bluey is a great show. You know, it's a wonderful show, and I really like it right now. They're making great episodes. It's a great show. I don't want to ruin it, and I think I'm going to have to change up the content here on this video. Maybe do more horror game walkthroughs and stuff. If you guys would like to see that, just let me know. If you guys felt that first story, it was pretty impactful, shout out to the author. I'll leave their name on the screen or in the description. But yeah, it's making me think about if I should continue doing this. But yeah, peace out guys, take care as always, bye bye.